Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with me, Tom Alvarez. Today's episode features arts patrons Roger Schmeltzer, a cabaret performer, and his wife, Lucinda Phillips, an actor. Join me now as I go on the aisle for a conversation with Roger and Cindy. Welcome to On the Aisle, Cindy and Roger. I'm so thrilled that you were able to set aside some time and come and chat with me.
Well, we're thrilled to be here.
And I just asked you, I was fishing, of course, and asked you if you'd heard the show. And of course, you had listened to some of my shows featuring, people that you know. And so we're going to talk about that. And I don't know, I tend to pivot a lot. So hang in there with me, okay?
Absolutely.
We're very adroit.
Okay, so, most of the time I have people on here that I know, and it just makes sense to me. Why not talk to people that you know so people are relaxed, and it's like a conversation, and I always ask people let's recount our history together. And let's start with you, Cindy, because you were the first that I met of the two of you.
Yes.
And then, our history is pretty rich.
It is very rich, and I am so grateful for it. We go all the way back to the Broad Ripple Playhouse and Bryan Fonseca and Marat Sade. And
remember the long title?
Oh, no,
The
assassination
and
persecution of Marat.
Jean-Paul
Marat. I do not. Thank you.
Performed by the inmates of Sheraton.
Of Sheraton, yes.
Do you remember that for good reasons, or?
It has stuck with me for years. You know how that?
Oh, sure.
It just stuck with me years.
There were so many lines, and I probably just didn't focus on the title, but it was an incredible experience.
And you were a young post-teenager? How old were you?
I was a teenager.
Okay.
I had just turned 18. So I was legally an adult.
And you played the ingenue.
I played Charlotte Corday.
Charlotte Corday.
Yes, who was an inmate. I was an inmate playing Charlotte Corday. And if you remember, we did that show in the round, and many of us, we were all preset before the audience came in, and I was sitting in the back row with my attendant, who was my nurse, and I would just experiment with how close I could get to resting my head, because I had narcolepsy, right?
Your character.
Yes, my character, not me, not me. The inmate playing Charlotte, and she would fall asleep in the middle of monologues and things. Yes. And so I would kind of test, if I leaned towards somebody and they reacted with empathy, I knew that eventually during the show I could actually put my head on their shoulder. and bring them into the show even more. If they were kind of then of course I would not do that.
For those not familiar, the Broad Ripple Playhouse, it really was charming. Remember? It was right there near the fire station, east of the fire station in Broad Ripple Village.
Yes.
And behind the theater was the canal.
The canal, yes, and we would take breaks.
People would go out there during intermissions or take breaks and smoke cigarettes and feed the ducks.
Yes, yes, we would feed the ducks.
I mean, it was really, I just remember being just so... charming. I can't think of any other way.
It was charming.
50-seat theater, it was tiny.
Well, and it could configure it in any way they wanted. For instance, for Marat Sade, it was in the round and only maybe 6 rows deep. And then for Vanities, I did Vanities. Bryan directed that. Did it 3 different times there and Patti LaBelle. And
So-
she and I were always in it, and then different actors funneled through as Kate.
Well, who was the founder? Carter was her last name. Am I correct?
Oh, June Claire.
June
yes.
Claire.
June Claire, yes.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
she
right.
had the foresight. She saw that space, and she wanted to do something with it. Bryan had just come to town, and he had started at Civic and did their first Studio C production, The Water
Yes,
Engine, which
correct.
Tom Dealer and I were in. I'm talking way too much about
Sure.
myself.
Yeah.
But there's just so much, and this is like back in, 78, 79?
And I would say that June, and then of course Bryan later, but really June single-handedly brought contemporary theater into Indianapolis.
She absolutely
A lot
did.
of stuff that Bryan did later. He took a page from her, and she.
Well, and
got
they
the right-
collaborated. She hired him
That's
to be
right.
the artistic director.
And like him, she was able to secure rights to off-Broadway stuff and stuff that Indianapolis had not seen up to that point.
They were the first to do Bent, I believe.
Oh, sure.
They were the first to do the 5th of July.
And you know,
so
Marat-
many things.
Marat Sade was not your typical musical theater either.
It was
I mean,
not, and it sold out
was very-
every single night.
Yeah, it's remarkable. It's remarkable.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, that's where I first met Bryan Fonseca.
Mm-hmm.
I heard he was doing that piece, and you know, it was the first piece I saw in my college theater program up in Fort Wayne. And it changed my life. And I had just gotten to know some of the actors. It was my first introduction to theater, and it just blew my mind. So I tucked it away. So when I moved to Indy and I saw that they were producing it there and they were auditioning, I just like, oh my gosh, this is it's too good to be true. So
I love that. I love
walked
your
into the-
spontaneity.
I walked into the theater. I mean, I was near the theater, and I thought, well, you know, I'm going to drop in and see when auditions are. And who was there but Bryan Fonseca? He auditioned me on the spot. And I got the role that I wanted, one of the quartet.
Yes.
The crazy quartet. You know, we
Yes.
were always like these antics.
Oh,
Anyway.
you were wonderful, and
But-
you had the
oh,
best songs.
Oh yeah. Well, we could talk about that forever. And
We
then
could.
moving forward, you know, we just, you know, we were all part of the theater sort of community, if you will. You more so than me. I was working in TV at the time, and I didn't get to, you know, I dabbled, but not like you.
You had a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
I mean, and you just, through the years, you've just really branched out. You know so many people. And so theater, journalism, TV, all of it. Your career as a model, a commercial actor. I mean, you just, Tom.
You know, I have to say that, you know, when I was very young, I really struggled with ego. Don't we all when
Oh,
you're
sure.
a performer?
We do.
You know, you navigating that. Am I talking too much about myself, or do I not promote myself enough? Or, you know, you just never know. But I was really insecure, so I did talk about my career and my work a lot. And then someone sat me down and they said, you know, you need to chill, just relax. You know, you don't need to promote yourself all the time. And, you
Well,
know,
those that
usually-
love you will.
Yeah. So anyway, I took that to heart. And over the years, though, I have to tell you that sometimes I feel like Forrest Gump when I'm telling people about all the stuff that I do. You know, but you guys are multi-talented yourself. So, you know, you've done a fair share of all kinds of stuff. You know, Roger, you are a singer, you are a performer, and so you both are performers, and you both have rich backgrounds in the theater and music. So, but let's I went to your wedding,
Yes,
Yes, you did.
and I'm still honored that you included me, because it was a very small group, and I always wondered, well, why me? You know, because they know so many great people. But, you seem to, Cindy, you and I bonded. I don't know. We just seemed to we'd see each other. It was, I don't know. You were kind of a sister figure, in a way.
Yes, you're
A little
definitely a
sister.
brother.
Yeah?
You're definitely a brother.
But so tell me, let's talk about you guys. How did you meet? Let's go back.
Who's tell?
Roger.
Okay, I'll tell the story. So the Cabaret, Shannon Forsell's operation that started over at the old Dave's Finish Line, which later became Chef Joseph's, had its opening performances by David Burnham. And I had tickets with, and so Cabaret is, I love that, and I want to be part of that. I wanted to support Shannon, so I had bought 2 tickets and brought a friend of mine, Adrian Riceworg. You may know Adrian, and we've been friends for 30 plus years, and so we went to the room. We got there. We were the first ones there. We just took it all in. It was just all so new. We went up to the bar, got a drink, and when we turned around, there were people sitting at our table. And Adrian's reaction was, I'm not going to quote her, but she was like, who are those people? Of course, there are these tiny cabaret tables, and we weren't expecting to have a private table. So we work our way back to the table, and I'm thinking we're prepared to throw down or something and have an argument with the folks at our table. And Adrian sees Cindy, and she says, Cindy Phillips? And it turned out that Adrian and Cindy was there with her mother, which we later found out. And it turns out that Cindy was the nurse for Adrian's former mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. And so Adrian knew Cindy from that, and also from the theater. And so it was all kismet. It's like, I'm going to go back to this for a second. It's like June Clare was my 7th grade music teacher too, by the way. So we have that entanglement. But it's like it's a small community.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a small community, and we just, I don't know, we just paired up almost, well, after the show, almost right away. We made an introduction, formal introduction, and that's my version. Do you have a different one? Or a better one?
May I interject some color?
I wish you would.
So I was doing Midlife the Crisis musical at former Theater on the Square. And
Ron Spencer, who founded.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And our musical director, Ron.
Yeah,
Another lost
Right
mentor. I know. This month is tough because we lost Bryan and we lost Ron.
In the same week.
I thought it was the same week, yeah. But anyway, and our musical director said, you got to go see David Berman tonight. Well, it'd been a really long day. My nephew, Stu Gomez, had his first communion, and there was a bounce house, and there was all this stuff. And I said to my mom, it's 9 o'clock show. We don't have to go if you don't want to. And she said, let's go. Let's just be casual. So we did. And she sees the woman's handbag on the table and said, oh, this must not be our table. Somebody's already sitting here. And I said, it's Cabaret. We're going to be seated with people. It's okay. So Adrian comes up, makes introductions after she calms down and realizes that she knows me and it's all good. But she has a thought, and she says, Cindy, I believe that Roger may be interested.
Well, you left out the part about how she knows that, how she knew to say this to you. So we're sitting there, and we jump back in here in a second. But so I had never met Cindy before, even though we were both involved in theater. She was at a different level than I was in different theaters, and Adrian. I leaned into Adrian, and I said, "Who is the girl?" And then she told me, and then.
And so anyway, Roger offered to get my mother and I a cocktail. So he goes to the bar, and Adrian says, Cindy, I think that Roger may be interested. are you? And my mother said, yes.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I don't know your situation. Are you single? And my mother said, yes.
Yeah. A Yenta. She was a classic Yenta.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end of the concert, which was just incredible, Adrian says, Marilyn, to my mom, I've got people you've just got to meet. And so they wander off, leaving us alone to chat, and the rest is history. And that is where we met, and that is where we were married, standing in the spot where we were seated at David Berman.
Your life has been centered all around the cabaret and the theater world.
Absolutely.
Hasn't it? Well, let's talk about Chef Joseph, because do you recall the days when, you would hear this often, and now I think it's changed a lot. You would hear it a lot. Oh, this is so much like New York.
Yep.
No one ever owned that. Indy is its own special creature.
It is.
We don't need to, we don't have to, well, it reminds me of Chicago, or it reminds me of this. So how about, well, this is Indy. This is how we roll.
Our cabaret scene is the envy of many cities across the nation.
Oh, my goodness.
We just saw Christian Burrell at the Cabaret this past weekend,
And for those listening, was he not in Rotten Tomatoes? Or no?
Something Rotten.
Something Rotten.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay, I was close.
Something Rotten.
Yeah.
He was incredible. He was just absolutely charming and amazing voice. But that is just every artist that comes to the Cabaret says, oh my gosh, there's nothing like this.
Yes.
It is an absolutely gorgeous room, first class, everything.
Yeah.
And Shannon Garth Forsell is
I'll tell you what.
a gem.
I tell you
Our
exactly
city's
what makes
lucky.
it special is the cabaret is not just another room for singers. Singers who go around the country and in a cabaret space has 4 or 5 shows a week, and they're just trying to get into one of those slots. This is a selective number of shows that the cabaret selects. They select the artists. So what I say is the cabaret actually drives the art rather than the commerce of a singer who wants to be paid creating the cabaret. And I think it's a difference.
And of course, as you know, and you were a board member, are you still?
I was.
Okay.
I was.
Well, you know that it's a not-for-profit model, and that's one of the reasons it works.
Yes.
And it has been copied now, has it not, around the country?
Well, yes,
Is it
54
54
below
below?
is,
Yeah,
they're
they
doing
took a
that.
page.
They're doing that.
One thing that stands out, though, is that every show is sponsored. Every show, the artist at least, is completely, the expenses are covered by sponsors. So you're a non-for-profit, and you have an endowment, and then you also have sponsors, people that live in our city who support the arts.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
we are a unique city.
Well, and let's be transparent. In addition to our status as friends, as you both know, I have a production company with Dustin Klein,
Right.
Magic Thread Cabaret, and which is part of our unique bond. And the two of you have been supporting us from day one. And next year it'll be our 10th anniversary.
Is that right?
Oh my
And we have
gosh.
produced. It'll be 20 shows that we have produced.
Oh my goodness.
Huzzah.
And this is all showcasing and providing opportunities, professional opportunities for local performers. I would say semi-professional. When we audition, we try to seek people of the best talent possible.
When you get paid, you are a professional.
Exactly, and we've always demonstrated that we value our artists, and like everybody else who supports what we do and has a similar mission, we really believe strongly that if we're going to have a creative class remain in Indianapolis, we've got to be responsible for making opportunities available. So that's what we've been
Absolutely.
all about. And with your help and others, so there's no place like Indianapolis in terms of its support of the arts.
Right.
Yeah, it's very special.
It really is, and you've carved out a niche, which
Well,
there's nobody else who does that exactly the way you guys do.
Of course, I took a page from what Shannon has done, but I localized it. What I did was I took her model and thought, well, cabaret is an art form that is very unique, and people still don't. I remember Shannon giving me a book and I can't remember the title of it, but it details the history of cabaret. It depends on who you talk to.
Sure.
What is cabaret? And as you know, Shannon, she performed with American Cabaret Theater under Claude McNeil.
Right.
His vision of cabaret was big shows, big productions, a lot of his own original stuff. Well, that was all fine and dandy. I consider that more musical theater and reviews.
I agree.
And, but Shannon loved the model that she had, been exposed to in New York City. Right, and as you have many times, those small, intimate nightclub rooms, and I love that. I love the intimacy of being up close.
Intimacy and authenticity. Audiences love it. They really respond to it. Some people, like our friend Marilyn Maye, who I'm sure we'll talk about, she's a star. And people go to see her because she's a star, but they also know they're going to get authenticity in an intimate setting with her. And so you don't have to be a star, though, to do that. And that's what I think is the great strength of cabaret, is if you've got something to say and you express it in a coherent and authentic way, people respond. It's like Cindy's telling the story about, whether she could put her head on somebody's shoulder. I mean, that's literally reaching somebody in an audience. But it's the same thing when you're singing a song and you've got people in the front row. You see people, 3 or 4 rows back as far as you can see without the lights. But, what I think the most powerful thing is you can't see beyond the lights. You can still make that connection with people.
Well, the title of our Operation Magic Thread Cabaret, I don't know if you know the story, but we stole that, the tagline from Michael Feinstein.
Oh.
And that is connecting songs to the soul. Or it could be connecting the singer to the soul.
Yep.
But it's that, and he called it that mystical connection. Live, the only thing you can get in live performance, only in live performance, and even more so when it's like a 50 to 100 seat theater, and it's dark. It's people are close together, and the performer's right there. There's nothing like it. The storytelling that takes place, especially among people who are talented storytellers like cabaret performers. You can't. Well, you can't pull that off unless you know how to tell a good story. Would you agree?
That is true. That is absolutely true. And I think that this art has never been more important because where we are in our world right now, we need connections, and we need connections of the soul. And this is a great way, 150 people at a time, to create that. Because not only do the people respond to the singer, they respond to each other.
And I think that Shannon also single-handedly, how many years has it been?
I think it's
in operation?
Oh, well, it's 15 or 16 because.
Well, you think about it. She single-handedly, and her supporters and the board, of course. It takes a whole village and a team to run a not-for-profit. And all the donors and everybody involved, volunteers, audiences. It took that long for her to educate a generation, if not now 2 generations, about what cabaret is and why. It's and think about it. Think about how it works in a place like Indianapolis, which I've always felt really needs it the most.
Right.
In terms of its educational value. in terms of what it does to sort of get people up close and introduce them to live entertainment, but in a very unique way that other art forms can't. Do you agree?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt, and this has evolved in such an amazing way here in Indianapolis, starting with the Claude McNeil work, and then Shannon will tell you the story about she and I sitting in a diner somewhere, talking about what can we do? Can we create a space? And at that time, for local performers to sing. So we had something. She had something. I was just a talker with her. But we had something going on over at some place on Delaware Street. Can't remember what it was called. And then ultimately, it's become what it is today.
Sure.
Was that the Villa?
The Villa, yeah, it was the Villa.
And I recall some of those spaces that we're talking about before, Shannon, it was out of necessity that they had to drop the model that Claude McNeil had been working
Absolutely.
with. They needed to cut the budget. They needed to make things smaller. But I remember some of those venues, and it's ironic that one of my favorites, and you knew him, I believe, was at Jimmy's, where they're now the former Jimmy's. It was a gay bar, a restaurant, high end.
Right. I remember
and
now.
they did Cabaret there. And Bob Beckman, who founded the Indianapolis Arts Council, he was, talk about multi-talented.
Very
He was
talented
a
guy.
photographer.
Oh my goodness.
He had worked for Senator Lugar,
Yeah.
F.C. Tucker.
Roger
Realty.
worked for Senator Lugar.
I mean, well, so of course you would know him, but he was also a cabaret performer.
Yeah,
he
was.
performed. I can't help but think about him when I'm in that room, because formerly it was like a gay nightclub.
Yeah.
It had a skating rink and God knows what else.
I saw Bob. I didn't see him at Jimmy's, but I did see him. We were members of the Indianapolis Players Club, and I saw Bob do Trouble. Ooh, you got Trouble. And Bob was not a tall man. He
Diminutive.
was diminutive, compact guy, and farthest thing you would think of from Harold Hill, but mesmerizing, absolutely mesmerizing.
He would have loved what you all have done at the Cabaret. I mean, that was his vision.
Yeah.
This is his vision. Whenever I'm on Mass Avenue, I always think about him when I'm sitting at an outdoor cafe on Mass Avenue. And this is just like, wait a minute, this is Indianapolis. We collectively have created this mecca, if you will, and it's so very special. Let's talk about your career, Roger. You have played stages, cabaret venues around the country. So let's talk about your history or your experience.
Well, I've got two experiences, parallel. I've got my professional experience, which is as a lawyer in politics, communications, and then more recently, the last 25 years in the insurance industry, trade association work. That has supported me, though, in doing what you're talking about and being able to have an opportunity to perform. When I was a kid, Tom, I would try to put on my version of Starlight musicals in my garage. And I would try to recruit people to come. And I may have gotten people to come once or something, I don't know, but I was bound and determined I was gonna make this
You're a
happen.
little promoter.
I was a little promoter, and talk about ego. I was a little egotistical at 8 years old, 9 years old, whatever that was. But for a long time, I didn't do anything when I was going to law school. And so in the early 90s, I got back on stage with it was the Dramatic Club. At that time, I was a member of the Dramatic Club. And then that gave me the bug again. And so I started doing community theater shows and did those from about 1993 to 2009. And in the process of that, then was working on some solo cabaret type stuff at the old Raleigh's Dinner Theater on Mass Avenue, and that was a great opportunity. And I never had to carry my own show, which was I probably thought I could, but I probably couldn't have. So that was great. Blaine Jarrett was a frequent performer there.
That's a name from the past.
Yeah, a lot of names there, and we miss Blaine. He was just a
And
sweetheart
like
of a man.
Bob Beckman,
Yep.
they both succumbed from AIDS during the crisis.
Yeah, Well, and Blaine, I want to tell you about Blaine. So my experience, the very first community theater show I ever saw in Indianapolis was in 1976. It was Of Thee I Sing at Headback Theater. I sat in the front row, and Blaine Jarrett played Throttlebottom, who was the vice president in that show. And I had just played in Of Thee I Sing at Indiana State University as a freshman, so I was very interested to see it done someplace else. And I was so taken with his performance. He was like so showbiz, fun, entertaining, just a light. So I filed that away. It's like, boy, I'd really like to do that at some point. And then that's in the early 90s when I got back on stage. And, here I wanted to be in musical theater. My first musical theater role, however, was a non-singing role, as I played Mayor Shin in The Music Man. And I was bound and determined that eventually I was going to be Harold, and I did that finally in the second go around over there at Footlight.
Mm-hmm. And Cindy, I say this, with all sincerity. Well, I make it clear that I never ever extend a compliment that's disingenuous, because being an actor and a performer myself, it would be an insult, But your work always was as an actor was, you're a really fine actor. Let's put it that way. And I remember seeing you in a couple of productions at Indian Repertory Theater that knocked me out off my socks. Remind me of some of those shows that you did there.
I actually have only done one show there.
Okay.
And it was Becky's New
That's
Car.
right.
And
Becky's New Car. I think that's the last time I saw you on the IRT stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
or the only time.
The only time.
Yeah,
the only time. And it was just an amazing production to be part of. Mm-hmm. Such an amazing cast. Constance Macy was Becky. Mm-hmm. It was just amazing. James Still directed.
Oh, yeah.
Liz Ermel was in it.
And who is the fellow who has since passed away? Robert
Neal.
Oh my gosh, he was fantastic.
Oh my gosh, he was a dream to work with.
Neal,
the kindest
Indian Repertory
man.
Theater
Yes.
fame.
Yes.
And I remember that you also knocked my socks off when you were the teacher in Christmas Story at Theater on the Square.
Yes, that was very fun. It was definitely my own take on the teacher. Yes, we did Love Lost.
You did a lot of Phoenix stuff, did
Lots
you
of Phoenix stuff. Lots
what
of Phoenix
are
stuff.
some of the shows there?
All in the Timing is probably one of my favorite, because I had just gotten back to town, and it was David Ives' All in the Timing, and so there are many vignettes. Correct. And I met some of the most amazing people, and I got to work with Gail Steigerwald, Deb Sargent, oh my gosh, Max. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
The creme de la creme
yes.
of indie actors.
Yes, and Tom Beeler and I were kind of reunited in the first vignette.
And of course, he was one of the crazy people with us in Rotside.
Yes,
right.
he was. Yes, he was. And
Tom
he had played
Beeler.
the lead in The Water Engines. It just meant so much
An incredible
of a
character
beautiful.
actor.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
So the two of you having these performing backgrounds, that's enriched your personal.
Oh my
life.
gosh, yes.
Oh, it
The
absolutely
fact that
has.
so do you guys how much time would you say in a pie chart do you spend talking about art?
I would say a good portion.
A big portion of that
Yeah.
pie, most definitely, because we have so many friends that are involved in things. So when we talk about the arts, we talk from so many different perspectives.
And
One day it might.
you see a lot of work.
We
don't
do
you?
see a lot of work.
I would know because I'm in the lobbies of the theater.
And we-
And there we
that's-
are.
all the time.
Yes, and it's so fun to run into you.
Yeah.
But we also like to support the arts when, if we can. It's why we contribute to Magic Thread Cabaret. Because I think it's important to give local people especially outlets, and they deserve pay, even if it's not a lot. Something that says, other than applause and things like that.
Not
And-
that community theater isn't isn't a valuable
Oh, it
public
absolutely,
service to give your
absolutely
talents
is.
for pure love. But
Yes, and what I'm talking about is okay, I'll back up a little bit. Maybe, 8 years ago, Gary Williams and I decided we wanted to start something called the Artist Driven Fund.
Glad you're talking about this.
We wanted to get donors to basically make donations into a fund that would be run, it would be a nonprofit, and it would go towards, in community theater, paying, because a lot of people in community theater are paid. Sometimes the directors are, sometimes
the professionally managed ones.
yes, and the lighting designer, the set designer, sometimes even the lighting, operator and the light, and so, but who doesn't get paid? The actors. So now, not everybody gets paid. I mean, sometimes those people get paid. And so I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a stipend for all the artists to increase what the directors could get paid, and everyone that's getting paid increase what they get, and then also pay the actors. Well, we could just not get.
We did one show with it, though, didn't we?
We
What
did
was that?
3 shows.
Did we do
did
3?
Skylight, which Bill
right.
Simmons
Yep.
and, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on her name. Anyway, it was a fabulous show. We produced that. We got an equity contract for Bill, and the actors and everyone involved was paid. And then we did Love, Loss, and What We
Right,
Wore,
right.
and we were paid. I donated my portion back.
Oh, okay. And then I know what you're going to say next.
What? What
Time
was
Stand
it?
Still.
Oh, and we did Time Stand Still. Oh,
I'm so
which
glad you
is
said
one
that.
of my absolute favorite shows that I have ever been able to do.
Who directed that?
Gary Williams did.
And so I'm really glad you brought it up. She was fabulous in that show. I don't think very many people saw it, though. In fact,
People said it was and this is a compliment, least Cindy they saw.
oh, she was amazing. This was
Cindy, where were you trained?
Well, I went to Chicago, as you know, in the 80s, and I went to DePaul. They had the Goodman School, and a friend of mine, Will Gould, who is also gone.
Of course. He was also Marat Sa. He played
He
Marat.
was. I know. There's some more
Okay.
little light.
Who Charlotte Corday
light-
stabbed in his
Yes,
bathroom.
I did. I would love to find that picture that Bryan had of Peter Clack behind me.
I have that
and me holding that.
somewhere.
Yes, and oh my gosh, it was amazing, all in red and yellow. But anyway, back on track. What was I saying?
So, well, we brought up Tom Beeler, right? So,
yeah. What were we saying?
I have no idea.
Well, again, that's just.
Oh, the shows that we produced.
Oh, the shows we produced.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, Time Stand Still was amazing. And when a couple of friends said, you were unrecognizable as yourself, I just thought, well, I always try to do that, but if I really accomplished it here, never would it have been a more important time. The show was about a news course, a journalist and a photographer who were in a relationship who had very horrific things happen to them when they were covering the Middle East, and and anyway, it's relevant today.
It's
even
more
though
relevant
it's
today
a 10-year-old
than it even was
show. But anyway, it was an honor to be able to
Before
portray
we
that
get away,
character.
we have to talk about Marilyn Maye.
Oh,
Now
my sweet
I like to
Marilyn
believe
Maye.
that we've developed a friendship, and I have to say that your relationship with her, she was on this podcast, and you helped make that happen. And I have to tell you that I would say that's it was a career highlight of mine to talk with her for an hour. A complete hour.
Yeah.
This is not done in media. No one, maybe CBS Sunday Morning does like 7-8 minutes. That's my favorite show, by the way.
Yeah.
The interviews. But
And they interviewed Marilyn.
Twice.
yeah, I know. And so here I am, anyway, thanks to your help and your support, Marilyn gave me that time to talk about her career. But what people should know is that, a lot of your career, a lot of what you became as a performer as a result of your relationship with Marilyn. So let's talk about it.
Sure. So we, and Cindy went with me, we went over to St. Louis 12, 13 years ago, and I was in a cabaret conference. So it was a lot of intensive training with about 25 other singers, and she was part of the faculty. I had seen Marilyn before at the ISO.
For those who don't know who Marilyn Maye is, quickly give them a brief sketch of why that name is so.
Marilyn Maye is a jazz artist, a nightclub performer who has had
An actress.
And an actress, 92-year career. She'll be 98 years old next year. I only say that not because it's her biggest accomplishment, but because it's amazing how in touch she is with her craft and how fantastic she sounds for any age. But she has stuck with it and been really great. And she had she was nominated for a Grammy at the age of like 37 in the 60s. Yeah, in the 60s.
Well, she was the first artist to perform Cabaret.
Yeah, the song Cabaret. And she had some down years because she came right into the time when the Beatles and rock and roll was king. And so she had years where she wasn't quite as popular as she had been, but she always worked. And now she is the grande dame of cabaret and around the country, especially New York City. Fabulous teacher and just a great person.
An amazing person.
And what? Tell me your connection with her. Tell me about your personal connection with her. What is it about the two of you and your chemistry that makes it special and unique?
That's a good question. Not because I don't know the answer, but because it is special, and I'm glad you recognize it.
She's latched onto you.
Yeah.
You're one of her kids.
I know. And I would appreciate any input, honey, if you have some on this. But we see the music the same way. We see the opportunities to communicate to people, and we would communicate essentially the same thing. When I asked Marilyn to put together and then direct a show for me that I did in New York City, and I've done variations of it over the years. I said to her, I want the full Marilyn Maye treatment. I don't want any gimmicks. I want you to apply your standards to me. And she has, and has told me many times, how much she has appreciated my work ethic. And then we just, as people, we just click.
And what have you learned from Marilyn Maye, the singer, and Marilyn Maye, the human being?
It's a very good question also. As a singer, it's about the connection to the audience. And I sort of articulated that earlier about how important that is. For instance, she wouldn't want you to come out and just sing a song when you start your show. She wants you to sing a song about your audience. Because the show's for them, not for you, the performer. Something that invites them in. And she's very very strict about that, and it makes me really think about what songs that I want to select. And we have 2 or 3
Talking
openers
about
that do that.
storytelling. She makes you break it down. What is the song about? Right.
Right. She wants you to set a tone. Like, so for instance, our current opener is "It's a Wonderful Day Like Today," and so this is. I'm telling the story about what a wonderful day it is, what a wonderful day I've had. I woke up in the morning knowing I was going to do this tonight for the audience. And I love singing it, and I think people get that. But as a person, she's very, she is pretty much what you see is what you get. So what you've seen is who she really is.
Another highlight of my, not just my career, but my life, was to sit with that woman after one of her shows, and she had her Apple Teeny.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she was not on a time clock. I felt pressure. Well, I can't take any more time of her. But no, she was engaged.
When you're invited into that,
we spent 20
that's
minutes.
Family time. That's what she calls.
20 minutes sitting there, and we talked about a variety of things. She talked about being married to alcoholics, and I talked about my recovery. It was very, very unique in that she really does zero in on you, and there's no one else in the room. You've heard people. Not everyone can do that. A lot of performers, by the way. I meet a lot of performers, and many of them have facades.
Yep.
She is what you said.
Yep.
What you see is what you get.
Extremely
Authenticity.
authentic. Yeah, extremely authentic.
Yeah.
I've told her this. So in my career that has actually paid me money over the years, I've been in the company of a lot of politicians, business people, really great people, and she's the equal of every single one of those people.
Real quick, tell us about what have you been doing in terms of performance? Give me like the last year or so. What have you been?
I've taken this year off.
Some gigs you've been doing.
Yeah, I've taken this year off. The last show I did was a year ago in Chicago, and that was the end of. So I was in Seattle and Washington D.C. That year, and this year I've had a number of other priorities. We've had some big family things going on. Our 15th wedding anniversary, Cindy's birthday, 5th birthday for one of our granddaughters.
How long has it been since your wedding anniversary? What is it?
May 22nd. Oh, yeah. I thought you were asking the date. Yeah, 15.
15 years ago, we were at Chef Joseph's celebrating your wedding.
16 years ago, we saw each other.
That's right.
At Chef Joseph's. Gosh, I can't remember what show. Oh, it was Lee Lessig.
Yeah. What have you made of this from afar? Well, you're not afar. You're part of it. You're also her friend. What have you made of the relationship between she and Roger?
Marilyn and Roger. Oh my gosh, they're like kindred spirits. They truly just love and admire each other. They enrich each other. I don't know why. I don't know what that magic is. She's also taken me in, and it's just lovely. Because I'm not a singer, we don't have that same connection. She knows how much I love and appreciate singing and wish I could sing. But
you can sing.
You guys follow her around the country?
I wouldn't say that we're like groupies, but when we can, if it's doable, we do. And we like to go to see her in venues that she goes to a lot, like the Purple Room in
Palm
Springs.
Right.
That's a favorite of hers. We've gone up to Minneapolis to see her. That's such an easy little nonstop flight.
We usually get to New York during one of her stints at 54 Below.
We're going to see her on Thanksgiving and in New York. So we do and we don't. We don't go everywhere, but we certainly do try to see her.
I'm going to ask this question, which may be a little bit unsettling, but I'm 77, so I'm constantly aware of my mortality. I only have so much time, and I live in the moment.
Right.
But I'm not going to be around forever. But I don't look at it in terms of, I don't live on the edge, but I do try to live in the moment, and that's what she's taught me at her age.
Oh,
That
yes.
She doesn't allow herself to be defined by that.
That's right. Keep moving.
Yeah, keep moving, exactly. And that's been a real blessing for me to be in her company and to see her as a performer.
She's
And
absolutely inspiring.
I love the adulation that she gets from her colleagues, from all the, and I've talked, as you know, I've talked to a lot of celebrity, a lot of performers, and when we bring up Marilyn, they love the fact that, they've learned a lot about her about longevity.
Right.
How do you keep a career going?
Physical longevity and artistic longevity. I mean, she has done it, and she says that her daughter will say, Mom, it's going to be sing, 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 die.
Yeah.
And Marilyn, I think that makes her kind of happy.
She's like, yeah.
So,
She's constantly.
The elephant in the room. How are you feeling about? She can't be here forever. So how do you look at that?
Well, the same way that I would with anyone that I care about. We never know when our last breath will be, and so we try to live in the moment. We try to spend as much time together as possible, and we just, for me, I just want to make sure that I express gratitude to the universe and even to myself for allowing myself to have this close connection. It's not always easy, and sometimes we have to choose between doing, going to Florida or going to see Marilyn in New York, and we will almost always choose Marilyn.
Yeah.
Always, because she is such a light, and she is like family, and we just want to spend as much time as possible. And so, no, we don't follow around like groupies, just mindlessly following someone. It's very
She
intentional.
does have groupies.
She
so-
does.
Oh, she sure
Absolutely.
does, and she deserves them. And if people can do that, that's great.
So,
But
Roger, are you working on any shows coming up this year?
Well, the reason I took the year off is because I just kind of needed a refresh. I've added some new songs over the last couple of years that I would like to get better at, and would like to put them in a show in a different way. One of the things Marilyn says is, people don't want to hear about you. And that's where we kind of disagree a little bit, because I think they do. I think if you're going to make that connection, you need to tell the audience about things. It doesn't need to be an egotistical thing, but you want to tell them about things in your life that move you.
I agree with you, but, I've seen all manner throughout my career of all the shows that I've seen, all the stars I've seen, and there are so many different ways that you can storytell in cabaret. That's what I love. There are a lot of people who have a facade, their brand, their image, that's all they show you, and songs that they like.
Right.
And they name drop and talk about anecdotes. I love all that because I'm a nerd, and I love
Same.
I love history and entertainment history. Michael Feinstein is one of the best raconteurs around. That when you're on
Nobody
a
like
stage
him.
and you're sharing that, I can tell just watching people's expression. Oh my God, you worked with so and so, and you did this and you did that, and then working it in with. And then I've been to shows where it's all very private stuff. People talk about their abortions, their recovery. They talk about their divorces.
Yeah.
They talk about heartbreak, losing whatever. And it can get really, really, really intimate.
It can.
And so there's all variety of ways that you can share your story.
There's a place for all of that. What I really want to do, and we do it to some degree, and Cindy's sort of my shadow director. I get some of my best advice from her in between stints with Marilyn. But what I really want to do, Tom, is I want to make a meaningful connection with the audience. What I mean is we need to spread the message of hope in this world, that hope exists.
Well, that's been my mantra in doing what I love. I feel like it's my passion has to do. There's talk about immediacy.
Yes.
The breakdown of communication.
That's right.
It's the arts is the only arts and sports.
Yeah.
I'm a sports fan too. Arts and sports are the only places where you can go and feel safe. You don't know the politics of the people sitting on the other side of you,
Right.
and no one cares. And you're all there for a common purpose. It's my church, actually.
Yes.
And it's the only place where, and I think it's so important that we support it because we need it now more than ever. Do you agree?
Oh, I absolutely believe that, and I think it's.
We need to be inspired.
Oh, we do need to be inspired, and that's. So I don't want to say I'm trying to inspire anybody, but what I would like to do, and we talk about this a lot, is to make sure that it doesn't matter what your politics are. Or who your favorite sports team is, but that as a citizen of the world, as a human being, you can make a change, and you can decide how things are going to be for you, and you're a little part of the world. I think that's an important message because otherwise we're getting swallowed up by all this other stuff.
So, Cindy, do you have any plans to come back on stage?
She better.
I don't
mean,
have.
all-
I do not have any immediate plans. I will say
You
I've
still
been.
look like an ingenue, by the way.
Oh,
Just,
my
you know.
gosh.
I mean,
Thank you.
come
That's-
on. But you could, I mean, there are
The-
great
the-
character roles out there, too.
You know, Helen Wells once told me that it's a gift and I have a gift and a curse because I look younger than I am, but I can't really play. I shouldn't really play younger than I am because there are already people that age. And I don't really look my age, so I don't get to play those roles.
Interesting.
And she was just like, I don't know whether to tell you to cut your hair or leave your hair long. I mean, she was just really honest with me. And I have to say that that has been a little bit intimidating for me. This transition, I love character work. Oh, love it. And
Good at it.
most of my work has been, and sprinkled with ingenue and work, and the tall, funny blonde, which Ron Spencer used to call me. But I am having trouble finding an outlet for a woman my age to play a woman my age. You know, I wish I could write plays because I would. Now, Summit is doing a great job producing things for women, but the women typically are a good 20 years younger than me.
Interesting.
Which I am not complaining. This is wonderful. The more theaters, and we have so many. But I truly believe the right vehicle will come along. I'm putting that out there. So that is what my intention is.
You know, I bet you if Brian were alive, he'd find something for
Oh,
me.
he
You
would.
know he would.
Well, let's close the show and talk about Brian. I don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to. I try to keep his memory alive on the show, and again, because I have so many friends that are on, I still. You know, I live in the home next door.
I
That
do.
I'm there in Hallville, Indiana, because Bryan Fonseca sent an email out to all of his friends and said, "Hey, I'm hoping that someone will buy this house next door so I can have someone that I know, a neighbor. It'd be great if you're an artist, blah, blah, blah." And I answered that email that day, and, you know, so it's been 5 years since he passed from COVID, tragically. But, you know, I still think about the legacy that he left that's still alive and well.
Yes.
And all of these young theater renegades around town, I call them the Bryan Fonseca disciples. You know, Chris Saunders is one of them.
Yes.
Okay?
Casey Ross.
And Casey Ross and various other people like that. So his legacy lives on. But
Yes,
how
it
did he
does.
impact your life?
May need another hour for this.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I can put it into words other than he believed in me at a time when I felt like no one did, and I didn't believe in myself. And I was young, 17, you know, and he cast me in a show and he treated me with respect. And he just always, he will always be just that person that was there when I needed somebody so much. And the one thing that I regret is that I don't know that I really was able to express that in those words to him while he was alive. But I know he knew that I loved him and respected him and was grateful.
Well, I really think he's looking down on all of us, and he would haunt me if we didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was.
He haunts me to this day. I look out my front door and there's his home.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, his family, I think he's got a great niece who lives next door, and they just had a baby, so.
Aw.
Yeah, he lives on.
The spirit
his
is there.
family. Well, you know, we,
And we should say the Fonseca Theater,
of course.
you know, which we have been trying to get more involved. We have sponsored a couple of the actors, and Paul Hansen and Roger and I just keep missing as far as dates to get together and have lunch.
Roy's happy to help, but we just
Yeah.
can't.
So, Paul, if you're listening, we're thinking about, we want to support, you know, the actors through your seasons. So we'll talk about that.
Did you know that Bryan was, you know, his heritage, he was mixed, and
Yes.
Mexican was something, his Mexican heritage, like me, you know, we had so much in common in terms of living in two different worlds growing up. And like him, I didn't learn Spanish. My parents chose not to teach us. I wish I had been more proactive, but nevertheless, it was Bryan who we shared that special bond about our heritage. But you know, it's because of him I'm living in Hava, and I went there specifically so that I knew I would be surrounded by Latino immigrants. And so guess what? I'm learning Spanish because all my neighbors from Mexico. And
When
that's
I lived in
Bryan.
Miami, I
That's-
learned some. Yeah.
That's part of Bryan's legacy,
is.
you know, and
It is.
single-handedly, you know, like Shannon, these people that we've had, arts leaders have, you know, they helped bring Indianapolis into world-class status,
sure.
as far as
Yes.
I'm concerned.
Yes, and change lives.
And, you know, you guys have contributed to that, too, by your support of the arts. You know, Dustin and me are very grateful for, you know, you put your money where your mouth is, and that's
thank
important. Your philanthropy, you know, is very, very important, and people depend on, you know, your largesse to stay alive and to flourish. So with that, it's been my special honor to have you guys sit here.
Thank you for asking us, Tom.
Thank you so
It's been
much,
our honor.
Tom.
And I'll see you on the aisle.
See you on the aisle.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official neighborhood newsletter for 16 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community.